For problem 15, the surface area of a sphere is approximately 1500 square inches. What is the approximate volume of the sphere in cubic inches? So for this particular problem, we need to know two formulas, and you would have to check in the book as to whether or not they give you these formulas, but they are things that you probably should know. And that is that the surface area of a sphere is 4 pi r squared, and the volume of the sphere is 4/3 pi r cubed. Now, it's two things to remember there, and I don't know if this helps or not, but for me, I can always remember that the surface area of the sphere, is the derivative of the volume of the sphere. And that there's a reason for that, and that has a particular meaning in calculus. But if you forget what the surface area of the sphere is, you take the derivative of the volume of the sphere and it gives you that. Once again, that's assuming that the derivative, that you understand derivatives well enough to do that. So 4 pi r squared is roughly 1500. Then r squared is roughly 1500 divided by 4 pi. And then the radius is roughly the square root of 1500 over 4 pi. And if we plug that into our calculator, we get... So what I'd like to do before we go on from that is to show you, I'm assuming that you know how to use a calculator to do a calculation like that, but let's just make sure, since it is implying a number of unique features of the calculator. Now if you wanted to do this all in one shot, you would do the square root and then we need 1500 divided by 4 pi, except that here you would want to put this in parentheses, put the denominator in parentheses. So you see how that looks there, 1500 divided by parentheses 4 pi. Otherwise it's going to divide by 4 and then multiply it by pi if that's not in parentheses. And enter, and we get the 10.925 roughly there. Now I'll just move the calculator out of the way. And at this point we'll begin to work on the volume of the sphere, knowing the volume, knowing the radius. And so we just plug in 10.925 for r, and once again let's see how we would do this on the calculator. So when the 10.925 is the most recent value, it's stored in the memory in the answer function. So if we take the answer and raise that to the third power, we now get 13.04. Then we're going to multiply that by pi, and we get 4097. Now we need to multiply that by 4/3, so we could just multiply it by 4, divide by 3, and we end up with 5462.742. And if we looked at our answers, we would see that that is most closely related to D. So remember, what is the approximate volume? The approximate volume is about 5,500 cubic inches. Okay, so we will stop this one at this point.